Hi friends, it's Dr. Rachel Paul. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We are going to be talking about weight loss foods for picky eaters. So if you are a picky eater, you might be worried about getting optimal nutrition because you may have a limited diet. So that's what we're really going to focus on today, so you get all the nutrients you need. Okay, let's talk about my 9 tips for weight loss foods for picky eaters. Tip number 1 is to have a goal. So with weight loss, what we want to do is eat more protein and vegetables and fewer refined carbohydrates. So for picky eaters, this may create a little bit of an issue because you typically are eating a lot of those refined carbohydrates. So we're going to talk about what to do to change those refined carbohydrates to more whole grains, and also to get more variety of vegetables and more variety of proteins into your diet. Okay, let's talk about tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to try a different variety of types of pastas and potatoes. So I know a lot of picky eaters, they really like more white types of pasta and potatoes. So white pasta or a golden or a russet potato. But a good idea is to expand our horizons here. So for example, instead of white pasta, you could try some whole wheat pasta. You don't have to completely change what you're eating right away. That can be too big of a shift. But if you're making a bowl of white pasta, why don't you try doing half white pasta and half whole wheat pasta and then mixing them together so you get a little more of a variety of types. Tip number 3 is to try new recipes with chicken. So I have this sheet pan meal that we just talked about, so you can try a whole lot of different sheet pan meals. You can just throw in a bunch of different vegetables, you can have your chicken, different types of potatoes like we were just talking about, and then you can try different things. And what's great about a sheet pan meal is if there is something you end up not liking, you can just skip that. You can just skip that ingredient. But that's a great way to try something new. Another great way to include chicken in different meals is to add chicken to different types of soups. So I have a broccoli cheddar soup here, which you could heat up and then throw some chicken in. But another great way to get in more vegetables is to use a broth-based soup, like a chicken vegetable soup or just a chicken noodle soup. Add in your chicken, and then you can also add in some new vegetables there as well. Okay, let's talk about tip number 4. Tip number 4 is to introduce new vegetables that are sweeter. So for example, like you see here, an easy way to start adding new vegetables to your diet is to start with the sweeter ones. So bell peppers, especially the red, the orange, the yellow ones, those are more sweet. So if you're looking to expand your vegetable palette, that can be a great place to start. Sweet potatoes also, I know a lot of picky eaters like white potatoes, but sweet potatoes are another easy adjustment to make because they're so sweet. You do have to bake them for a pretty long time, typically 45 minutes in the oven, but oh my gosh, they are so delicious when they come out. Okay, let's talk about tip number 5. Tip number 5 is to aim for a variety of colors when choosing your vegetables. So what's really interesting is that different colors of vegetables and fruits have different micronutrients, and these different micronutrients help your body in different ways. So for example, orange fruits and vegetables are really good for your eyesight. Yellow fruits and vegetables are really good for immunity boosting nutrients. So we do want to get a variety of colors: red, orange, yellow, green, and then the purples and blues. So a good idea is to choose one new color of a fruit or vegetable each week. So you could choose red peppers this week, you could choose spinach next week, or you can choose red onion the next week. Try to really get a variety of colors. Okay, let's talk about the next tip. Tip 6 is to try new foods if you're a super taster. Now you probably know if you're a super taster or not, but super tasters can taste foods really intensely, more intensely than other people. But what is interesting, and either a pro or a con depending on how you look at it, is that we actually lose some of our taste buds as we age. So if you are getting a little bit older, you may actually like foods now that you didn't before if you're a super taster. So do try to add different foods into your diet, just try to reintroduce them as you age. Okay, let's talk about the next tip. Tip number 7 is to try to add more seafood to your diet. Now, I know a lot of picky eaters are adverse to seafood because of the fishy smell. I do get it for sure. The issue is that some seafood, like salmon, is so rich in omega-3s that aren't as biologically available from other sources like walnuts. So it is really important to get them from something like salmon. So what a good thing to do is to eat more salmon, to eat more seafood, is to add them to a dish that you're already making. So a really good one is something like tacos, like fish tacos. So you could add them to tortillas, you can add them to lettuce wraps if you're trying to add more vegetables too. That can be another good way to add in more fish where you're maybe not really tasting it that much. Okay, let's talk about the next tip. Tip number 8 is to not overwhelm yourself. Now, I know you probably have a lot of health goals and it can seem overwhelming, especially when you see all of these fancy meals on Instagram and Pinterest, but you do not need to overwhelm yourself. That will not be helpful to your weight loss journey or your health journey at all. So a good thing to do is to stock up on foods that don't go bad. So for instance, frozen vegetables or canned tuna or canned chickpeas. Those foods are gonna last you a long time, so you don't have to worry about getting through a ton of fresh food in your fridge and really overwhelming yourself and overwhelming your budget, right? Okay, let's talk about the next step. Tip number 9 is to take a multivitamin. Now, because picky eaters may not be getting all the nutrients they need, it can be a good thing to do to take a multivitamin just to keep yourself safe, make sure you're getting everything that you need. Before you take one, I do want you to talk with your doctor about the right multivitamin or specific vitamins for you to take because everyone is different. All right, that's it. Those are my top weight loss tips for picky eaters. If you like this video, I'd love for you to like it, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell button so you're notified of the next video. And I'll see you next time.